Here we go again, asking the same question. Can we get professional results from a spray can? Well, we're going to give it another shot. And this time, maybe not have the paint wrinkle up like an alligator's back. Let's go. Professional results, over-the-counter product. It's a question that a lot of people answer. Can we do it? Can we do it? Well, we give it an honest shot, and there is a plethora of video on YouTube about this exact subject. Interestingly enough, people try and cross-pollinate and put professional products in with the over-the-counter 1K, and I'll go down the rabbit hole of what 1K versus 2K means in just a second here. But for me, the real question is, can you get professional results with a product that you can get in a just a regular consumer environment, not a specialty store, not a paint jobber store, not a supply store, not an online automotive professional products vendor, Home Depot, Lowe's, whatever. So we tried it, and here's what we did. You guys know this. About 400,000 of you know this. We had a bunch of views on it. This is one of the Harley tins that we prepped, painted, sanded, and polished. That's my recipe as a professional technician with a single stage paint. And guess what? It turned out pretty good. It wrinkled up. Because I put too many coats on, and I understand what I did as a failure of the process. But we recovered, sanded it flat, polished it back, and it looks super shiny. But when we look at it now, 6 or 8 weeks later, it's still flat. I can still see a reflection in it, but you can see it. It's dulled out. It's lost some of its gloss. And why is that? It hasn't been out in the sun. It's not sun fade. Why did it become less shiny, Kevin? Well, here's the real answer, is we robbed what is in that paint system of the properties that it takes to retain its gloss. As this paint cures, that resin layer forms the M&M shell on top of it and stays shiny and glossy. The process of sanding it flat and smooth in the first place to get rid of the defect, the wrinkling, and then to eliminate surface texture takes material away. When you're using a single stage rattle can, non-hardened, i.e. 1K product, guess what? You're robbing it of film build and you're robbing it of strength. And that's what happened here. So many people said, hey, put a clear coat on it. Why don't you put a clear coat on it? Oh, use some Spray Max or get a catalyzed 2K clear coat. So step over here. Here's what we used. Rust-Oleum. We'll talk about the fluid tip here in just a little bit. This is a catalyzed system. This is the Axalta system that I use on most of my projects. And it's not an inexpensive system. This represents about $600-ish, give or take, depending on the market that you're in and availability, shipping, so on and so forth. This is an expensive system. Here's a version of a 2K, meaning it has a hardener in it. 1K no hardener, 2K hardener. 1K, 2K. This works in the way it's got a button, you press a valve on the bottom, it releases catalyst in, just like when you add catalyst into here. So thereby, it is no longer a product that's available in regular retail stores. So for me, it's in a different category. Here's the other thing that's a different category. I'm always going to be an advocate for using these products safely. And I promise you that we're actually going to get some work done. But because it has a catalyst, it means it elevates it to another level of attention that it deserves when it comes to PPE and safety. This is a professional product, and when I spray this, I'm using professional protection equipment, PPE, personal protective equipment. That includes gloves, a spray suit, and a fresh air system. That is what I've been trained to use with this system. So for me, because this is the same chemistry, throw a catalyst in it, mix it up and shoot it, throw a catalyst in it, mix it up and shoot it, this to me demands the same PPE that this does. And that disqualifies it from what I'm even trying to do here, which is to get professional results from a system that's available in a non-professional environment. So there's where I go. We had tons of people saying, yeah, put a 2K clear on it. Sure, that's great. We can do that. However, here's the other thing about doing that. This is not designed to have a 2K clear put on top of it. Will it work? My answer to that is probably. How secure am I in saying probably this will work for you guys? Even if I suited up and did all the PPE and I said this will probably work, because I can't guarantee that it won't delaminate down the road. So there's strike two. And it's not, you know, sure, we can mess around, we could do different things, and have I ever done something like that? Maybe I've played around, experimented, but like I said, it disqualifies it. So what my goal here is to see if we can truly get a really nice professional result without that. If you're looking for me to use that in conjunction with this, without protecting this, shut it off right now. I'm telling you. I'm not going to show you that. My training for decades as a professional technician tells me and proves to me that that deserves a different level of PPE, and we're not going down that road, not on this channel. So what we're going to do is try another system that I found, and it's really interesting. It's right down here. So this is something that's relatively new on the market. This is from a company called U-Pol, and they have a clear coat. They've got generic over-the-shelf colors. This is red, and apparently it's glossy because it says gloss red, color indicated by the can. Probably proves that it's gloss red. And the top of the can is also shiny. So I'm assuming that it's gloss red. They also have a clear coat. It's acrylic enamel composition. But here's the other thing that they have. These are color codes. And if you look right here, look super close right there, that is a paint code from a paint manufacturer. That's a GM paint code. That's actually another, I'm squinting, but that's another GM paint code. And yeah, I know that because it says General Motors. And that's another GM paint code. They have color coats from a whole bunch of different cars. So this is interesting because you're not trying to match this up and hold it up to the car. These are mixed to match your car. Interesting. This is not a gloss coat. The cap indicates what it's supposed to look like. So what made me want to try this for you guys and for me was that this is a two-stage system, base coat, clear coat. We've got single stage, we've got two-stage. There's other stages involved, but for the sake of the argument, that's two types of automotive paint. Single stage is what we used on the first Harley tank. For the project today, we're going to be using a two-stage, but this is still available in automotive retail. This is available at AutoZone stores. That's literally where I found it. So we're going to try and do a two-stage system and not do what we did with the Harley tank and rob that top resin layer off of it and rob it of its ability to even stay shiny here indoors, never mind the sunshine. This is a clear coat in the formal sense of it. This is the second step of a two-stage system. This is the M&M shell on top of the chocolate candy. Chocolate candy, M&M shell, stage one, color only, stage two, clear, gloss, protectant, and go. And so what we're going to do is see if there's another version of creating a professional looking result with a consumer base, non-professional, keep falling over, with a system that I can go into a retail store and pick up. And that's what we're going to do. So, buckle up, get ready. This is going to be fun. I think it's going to be interesting. Do I know what it's going to do? No, not really. They claim that this is a super glossy clear. We're going to find out. So here is what we're going to be spraying. This is the front fender of the same bike that we did the tank. Now, it's not going to be the same color, so at the end of the day, when I put this bike back together again, it's going to kind of look like the Partridge Family bus, but this is what we're spraying. And obviously, there's some chrome accents here. I've got it screwed into my stand. And by the way, a lot of you people really like the stand I had the Harley tank on, so I'm going to be using the exact same type of stand. It starts, all of these projects start with cleaning. And we're going to clean this fender because it's been sitting on a shelf. It's got all kinds of schmutz on it. So we're going to use a two-step cleaning process, just like we did on the Harley tank, just like I do with every single paint and body project that I do. We're going to start with an organic cleaner, and we're going to follow it with the solvent cleaner, and then we're going to start the sanding process to prep the surface. So I'm going to glove up, and we're going to start to clean. So here's my water-based cleaner. If you don't have something that's dedicated for body shop stuff, you can use a good glass cleaner. Looking better already. Look at the crud that I pulled off of that. Ew. Ew. Now we're going to use a solvent-based cleaner that's dried off. And again, if you don't have body shop products kicking around, or you don't want to buy body shop cleaners to do this, you can go to a home center. You can get acetone. It's a relatively benign solvent. You can get naphtha. I wouldn't recommend using lacquer thinner. It's pretty hot. It's pretty strong. But whatever you do, make sure you do a two-step, an organic and a solvent-based. Why, Kevin? Why should we have a two-step cleaning process? There's two distinctly different categories of contamination on a panel, and organic cleaners won't pick up solvent contamination. Solvent cleaners won't pick up organic contamination. Ask me how I know. I've seen fingerprints come through paint jobs. I've seen bug guts and acid rain continue to work even though I've cleaned them with the wrong thing. So take it from my experience that you need to always do a two-step cleaning process. And spoiler alert, all the videos that you're going to see me doing any kind of paint prep, we're going to do the two-step system. So here we go. Now we're clean. Now let's take a look at the surface. I've got the schmutz off of it. Take a super close look here. We've got a pretty smooth surface. I think we're actually in better shape here on this fender than I was on the tank. There was some pretty gnarly chips in the tank, some dents. So I think that we can just sand this smooth and rock and roll. Here's a tip for you. If you're sanding next to chrome trim, either take the chrome trim off or protect it from your sandpaper. If you knew that already, I'm not talking down. I'm just saying I've caused myself a lot of heartache by putting sand scratches in molding glass and trim pieces over the years and learned from my mistakes. I've learned it the hard way. So what we're going to do first before we start doing any kind of abrasive is mask up all of our chrome. Now, I'm used to tape, but I've also seen a lot of guys use aluminum foil, and that's interesting to me. I've used it a little bit here and there, but aluminum foil contours, it grabs, and it stays where you put it in the sense that it'll cling, it doesn't have an adhesive on it, and it's actually a pretty good masker for wiring harnesses, things like that. I've got a rotisserie that I'm going to put the garbage Camaro on, and maybe even the 280ZX, if it lives. But those guys are going to go up on the rotisserie and get the full Monty, the full treatment, because we want to go upside down. We want to make sure be able to stand flat-footed and work on all those crazy inside cavities, underside frame rails, pockets, all that kind of stuff. All right, now we are ready to sand. We're going to be doing 2 steps for sanding. We're going to be using 800 grit dry, followed by an 800-ish grit scuffing pad. Why is that, Kevin? Why use 2? Why not just use 1? Here's why. We're going to try, if there's tiny little micro scratches here, I want to level them out. This won't level them out. It'll create scratches, but it won't level out the little voids, if you will, or the valleys of these scratches. And my flat sandpaper is going to be difficult to put it into. Get a real close look at this. That's a rivet that's been painted over. I don't know that my sandpaper is going to be real easy to get inside that contour in that area. So that's where the scuffing pad comes in. So we'll deal with the flats with the paper, and we'll go in with the valleys and contours with the scuffing pad. And that, my friends, is a good prep strategy. And then we'll start to spray the funky stuff. Still using a sanding pad. This is an interface pad. It's soft, so it'll move around the crown of the contour, but it doesn't cut finger grooves in it. Sands nice and flat. You're welcome. And then when we're done with that, we'll come back with our scuffing pad and get inside here and get inside all of these crevices. All of the sneaky little crevices there. All right, so we've got some holidays right down there in that valley. It's hard to get those places sanded, but it doesn't mean they don't need to be sanded. So I'm using a mini screwdriver and my scuffing pad and jamming that scuffing pad down into that valley. Look at that, look at that. It works. Holy smokes. See? I've said many, many times, the harder it is to sand, the more important it is to sand it. And here's a way. Would this be qualified as a hack? I don't even know. I don't know what a hack is, but... All right. All right, so that should get us the tooth that we need and the prep that we need on this panel. So again, we're going to clean first with our water-based cleaner. Which incidentally smells a lot like alcohol, which is interesting, because alcohol is a natural anti-static. So I think that's by design from the manufacturers of that product, that we get some isopropyl alcohol in there. get an anti-static treatment on that surface. Get in all the crevices. And since we're doing two-step, again, come back with our solvent cleaner. Now we're ready to spray. Other than, yeah, we're going to use a tack rag. And if I see any holidays in there, like the shiny little spots that I'm seeing right now, I'll come back in and chase them down with the scuffing pad. But I'll look at it before we spray and make that determination. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. Stop talking. Start working. So, what are we going to paint with? Here is the Rust-Oleum can. I had a lot of fun with this can. Glove blowout. Hello. We have 3 different sized round patterns, small, medium, large. Rotatable tip, kind of fun. These 2 are a vertical and a horizontal air cap orientation. Just like when I change the orientation of the air horns on my air cap, I change it from up and down to side by side. It changes the way the pattern goes. So this gave me options there. But what I stuck on the flat pattern because that's the way I'm used to spraying with my professional products. So that is going to be probably that orientation right there. And I don't know. Yeah. So we're going to use these other cans. And they have a fan pattern on the top that, that is flat. It shoots out about a 2-inch pattern and it's flat shaped. So I'm going to get that professional result when I spray down on a flat surface. This little yellow guy here is also one that you can rotate. So you can manually, you can go in there with a pair of pliers, you can change it. And so that's interesting too. I'm not going to need that, but it's nice to know that I have that if I want it. So we're ready to spray other than tacking, which I do right before we spray the panel, and we're ready to shake this up and shoot it. So I always recommend, and so does the back of the can, spoiler alert, 2 minutes minimum of shaking. The reason being that we've got particles or BBs or balls or whatever you want to call them in the bottom of the can. And they're there to agitate the solids and intermix them into the mix in here. If we don't properly do that, we're robbing the film of strength. All your color is going to, this settles really, really lots. If you look at that size of that orifice in there, it is microscopic. It's super, super tiny, right? So what does that tell you about the paint? It tells you the paint's really, really, really thin. So we must do our diligence and shake it up, right? So there's a better way to do this. I saw this online. I think Jack from Speed Bump did this. Hang on. That's ridiculous. It doesn't work. Nope. What the? Oh. I guess when it's done, the cap comes off. All right, here we go. Last step before we spray is to run over all of it They tack cloth. All right, we're going to do a test. Look at that. That's a nice pattern. That's about 3.5 inches. You can see the color. We can get an idea how thick it goes down. So now I kind of know how to spray it. Alrighty. The first coat I'm after is a medium coat. You notice I'm not beating the heck out of the paint. I'm doing a medium coat. The droplets form a sheet, but I'm spraying in an easy overlapped pattern. Medium coat means medium. Don't flood it on. Back of the can says to wait 5 minutes between coats, so the easiest way for me to remember how long 5 minutes is to set a timer. I shake the can a little bit between coats and come back for my second coat. If your color is even with the metallic application, there's no need to come back with a third. Think about it like this. You're not applying a coat of paint. You're building a coat of paint, a slight overlap at a time, building the structure of the paint. And by the structure, I mean the relationship of one droplet to the next. It's an insider term, yeah. It's paint company lingo, but it makes sense to me. So when I do this, the metallic particles melt into each other and they lay down evenly. And that's the real secret to doing a metallic base coat of any brand. Well, here we go. Take a look. What happens when you have a glove on, if your finger is not in the right place, your glove hits the freaking stream of paint coming out and it drips onto the panel. Here's a way to deal with a run or a bulb of paint. I've looped my masking tape. I'm doing that. And I'm just kind of blotting that run out. That's going to make it dry a little bit faster so I can do my repair a little bit quicker. So right here, I've kind of evened it out with the masking tape. Now, I could just spray right over top of it and blend the color in, but I think that that little crater is going to show through. So I'm going to sand it flat. I'm going to use my 800 grit, but I'm not going to sand it dry. I'm going to use my wax and grease remover because it's a super mild solvent, and I'm going to wet sand it just a little bit. And what that's going to do is smooth it out. Now, your base coat has to be flashed to do this, but the wax and grease remover allows me to wet sand without really disturbing the base color. And now when I come back in, I can blend that out and blend it into the surrounding area, and I'm not going to see that little crater. Paint can fingering 101. Don't do that. Do that. Don't do that. Do that. One more time. Not. Yes. So I'm going to run over it with a tack rag one more time. Put my mask back on. So I've got to wait my appropriate flash times, but this is a traditional in-the-booth base coat repair. This is what happens. You're going to get defects, you're going to goof up, things happen. So what I'm waiting is for it to flash out. You can tell that it's nice and even, but I'm still going to give it another couple of minutes. And then I'm just going to blend until I get complete hiding of this little repair spot, and then we're going to go and wait the appropriate amount of time for clear. But we got, 2 more minutes to wait. All right, so everything is dry. The back of the can says let it sit for half an hour before you clear coat. And we went to lunch. It's been longer than half an hour. And it's dry. I'm not going to touch it because it's very fragile. We don't want to mar it up, and we don't want to put prints in it or drag marks. This is color. It looks cool now, but if you stop at this stage of this type of a paint job, you're going to be really disappointed because it's going to chalk up, and there's no protection on here. This is a 2-stage. There has to be the clear coat on it. But we're not quite ready to spray yet. Take a close look down over here. Kind of off to the side. Do you see the little sparkly thingies? I did a blend on this side, and that is overspray. That's the metallics that have just sat on that surface. So between the stages of color and clear, I'm going to run a tack rag over this again. If I clear coated over those, you would probably see them through the clear. So we don't want to do that. So good housekeeping for a base clear job is to tack. Yeah, see right in there. See that blue color? That's just overspray from the other coats. So we're going to put a tack rag on this surface super gently, and that gets us ready for the clear coats. Now we got to shake our clear coat for 2 minutes without the power tool. We're going to test to see how this comes out. Oh, by the way, make sure that your gloved finger is not over the tip, like that. See there, look at that super flat pattern. Oh yeah, look at that, look at that. How nice that closed structure coat comes in. Man, yeah, that brings that color alive. All right, so now, a little bit of practice. Now I know how I'm going to spray this stuff. All right, so we've let this sit and outgas for about 15, 20 minutes, and I gotta tell you, I'm kind of blown away. Look at this.
Yeah, look at this.
The color distribution is not splotchy. Look at the gloss.
Just look at that.
Okay, so what you're looking for is a factory finish, like an original orange peel. Look how smooth that is. The color looks great. It's not mottled or anything like that. It looks really nice. Now, right in here, you might be seeing just a little bit of factory texture. I mean, I was fully ready to be able to sand and polish this and then get the final finish that I wanted. But I gotta tell you, I don't think it needs it in the first place. If I'm gonna polish this, I'm gonna wait overnight. I think it's a good idea to wait overnight. This doesn't have a hardener in it, and I wanted to make sure and set up. If I do anything, I'll polish a piece of it or something like that. There's not even any dirt particles in this. So it really becomes a question of, do I want it slick as glass or do I want just a super nice paint coating? Super nice paint coating. So I'm going to let it sit, and I'm going to come back and look at it in the morning, and I'm going to go and celebrate because I'm pretty impressed with that. And it's no camera trick. You're looking at it. You should be pretty impressed with that too. I'm loving that. Metallics are harder to spray. It's harder to get them even. Silver and gray metallics are kind of famous for not really matching. So this car was a good candidate just to see how it would do. I just wanted to try it again and see if that clear coat would hold up the same way it did on the fender. So this is actually my wife's car. It's an '03 Thunderbird, and it's a beautiful gray color. We matched up the code, got a really good color match, and look at the gloss. I hope you can see it. It just looks really nice. It's a high gloss. I broke it off on this seam right here. I can't find a flaw in that. I can't find a fault in using that product for a touch-up. Outstanding. I waited overnight and I wanted to come back and see a couple of things. I wanted to see if the gloss had diminished, and I wanted to see what the hardness of the film was, and did a couple of tests, so check this out. Gloss, not diminished. Boy, it looks nice. That's just a pretty, pretty gloss. And when I push into it, that's just grease from my fingertip. I can't push a fingerprint into the surface. So that tells me it's probably going to stay like that. So is it finished? I can't leave well enough alone. I have to know whether surface correction, i.e. sanding and buffing, is going to work on this finish. I got to do it. I got to do it. I'm going to sand it with 2000 grit, use my Griot system, and try and see if I can get a little bit of orange peel off of there and create a show car finish. Ooh, yeah. So I'm just going to polish the zone right through here so we can see it. I'm using straight water, 2000 grit. And so right away, my feedback from this panel is that the surface is not gummy, and it's a hardened film. And just to reaffirm, we've got 2 coats on here. Well, you saw me, I was a little heavy. I just wanted to make sure that it was flowed out and that I wasn't being careful with it. I don't want to be careful with this stuff. I want to be able to paint this silly thing. Uh-oh, squeaky sound, bad. Rinse it off, rinse your paper off. Squeaky sound is a piece of debris and or dirt trapped in between your sandpaper and the surface that you're sanding, and you will cut deep gouges in if you sand with the squeaky sound. All right, I've cut through most of the orange peel here. I'm just going to go a little farther because I'm an idiot and I can't stop. In case you're wondering, I am going to the local home center, getting some rubber feet for these stupid stands. Yes, it bugs me too. All right, there's 2000 grit. Like I said, I can't stop. So I'm going to do what I do with a pro system, and I'm going to go with 3000 grit. This is my 3000 grit Trizact pad. I'm just going to knock over the top of this with 3 grand. 3 grand. Oh, I sound so cool, don't I? Going from 2000 to 3000, it sure doesn't take very long to get rid of those 2000 grit sanding scratches. So I'm going to go over the surface 3 times. There's 2. A little more water. There's 3. Shed the water off. And because we're bridging both worlds, I'm going to go nuts and go to 5,000. That's what I do with the Pro system. More water, more sanding. So this is either going to ruin this finish, or it's going to make a brilliant gloss and a very flat reflection. There's 3 times. I'm going to go one more time over. Get rid of the water. All right, now we're ready to polish. Moment of truth, right? Right. So I'm using my G15 polisher, which is a 15 millimeter stroke. Still a long stroke dual action, but it's not as aggressive as the 21 that I typically use. Using my fast cut compound, I'm going to do a 2-step process with this. I'm going to do the fast cut compound and follow it by the last step of the 4-step griot system, which is a finishing sealant, which is kind of a misnomer because it's actually a mild abrasive that just cleans everything up. Here we go. All right, so I cracked a big grin. So there's step 1. I'm not showing this to you yet, but you've got to stay watching this video. Holy smokes, man. Holy smokes. Wait, okay. I'm going to change pads to the black foam pad. 2 dime-sized dots of the finishing sealant. Bam, bam. Rub it in, because I'm left-right-handed. Holy snapping bungholes. Look. Wow. Holy man. No, I'm not kidding. I am not messing around. Look at that. Look at that. Before and after. You can see some orange peel in that. Brilliant gloss, super nice gloss. And then we come over here. A little bit of polishing haze right there. Look at that DOI. Look at that. I'm trying so hard to not say expressive potty mouth words. Look at that. Look at the gloss. You saw me polish that. I sanded it and polished it in real time. And look what we get out of that. I am so glad we did this part 2. Because I just love doing this. I love learning about new things and different ways that we can utilize cool stuff that's happening. Yeah, this is what I used. I got this at AutoZone. This is a true base coat clear coat system. It's a professional strategy with a retail product. I got it at AutoZone. It's a GM 8264 blue and their protective clear coat. This is what it turned into. Yes, we had good application technique because I'm a painter. I know how to paint. But it was super easy to do. So if you don't know how to paint, you can still get results like this. I'm just going to say it. This is a way to get professional results out of a spray can. Without going down the road of expensive PPE, without going down the road of an expensive paint environment, my goal with this whole thing, the first video included, was to show proper prep procedures. My goal was to show that prep is king and the results will follow that. And then we went down the rabbit hole of can you, whatever. So I'm going to call this a success. I'm going to call this a win. I'm going to call this professional results. Will it last like a 2K clear? No, it won't. Will it look really good for a long time? Yes, it will. And if I don't ever put this outside, it's probably not going to degrade. So anyway, there's limitations to a single component. We all know that. That's why everybody was saying, put a 2K on it, put a 2K on it. Great, okay, we can do that. I didn't, and it looks great. So, other tank, still faded. I put some compound on it, and here's what happened. With rubbing compound, it got even chalkier. I came back here with that finishing sealant, and it brought the gloss back again. So, like I said before, I've robbed the material of the ability to shine, and I'm putting a false shine into it right here. I can maintain that, that'll be fine. But this, in my opinion, is not the right way to go. This is eerily nice. So thanks for watching, thanks for hitting the subscribe button, thank you for hitting the like buttons, and thank you mostly for your comments and your engagement on this stuff, because I really do learn a whole bunch from you guys when you put the comments in. I've learned about how to read the back of the can for my TDS sheet on a rattle can, and I've just learned about a bunch of application process. So anyway, on to the next one. Hope you guys got a kick out of this. Hope you learned something about a new system that you can get your hands on, and stay watching for the next video. We got Garbage Camaro coming up, the Z280ZX. I'm still blocking on the Wannabe SS black truck that belongs to Derek Beery at Vice Grip, and lots of other stuff coming in. So thank you so much. See you on the next video.